What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. I talked to Tommy Tallarico and had to think a long time about if I wanted to make this video or not, or keep it between me and him, but I have to go back to the whole reason why I do this channel, and that is trying to be as transparent and straightforward and honest about my feelings about gaming in general. And if I ignore the information that is given to me, I don't feel like I'm doing my duty as Smash JT. So, let's get to it. Smash JT. In the middle of the night last night, I had to take a piss. So I got up and checked my phone to look at what time it was, and I saw there were some messages from Tommy to me that were voice messages. And I was like, okay. And I went to go take a piss, and I was like trying to think about what we could possibly be talking about at 1:30 in the morning. And I came back to the phone, and they were all deleted. And it was a lot of them. And I was like, I hope everything's okay. I know Tommy and I aren't on the best of terms. After I decided to separate myself from the situation and just start to speak openly about my feelings about it, I knew it wouldn't be well received by Tommy or anyone over at Intellivision in general, but I couldn't keep living the lie of pretending everything was fine and just ignoring blatant issues and concerns and misinformation. So the messages were deleted, and I was worried about Tommy. So I messaged him back, and I said, hey, I was trying to get my headphones and couldn't get them in time. Your messages have all been deleted or removed or whatever. Is everything okay? Because I was legit concerned. Because, to be honest, I don't want to talk to Tommy anymore during this Intellivision situation. And that's putting it nicely. I even said to Phil Adam, I don't want to talk to him or anyone. I don't want to talk to anyone at Intellivision. I really don't. And they've reached out to me. I've even had Dubai office reach out to me that wanted to chat. And I'm like, I get where Pat and Ian are coming from when they try to keep their distance from these companies. I get where Review Tech's coming from when he wants to keep his distance from these companies. Because they try to lure you back in. They try to make you, I don't want to say drink the Kool-Aid, but they try to make you agree with their standpoint instead of being able to be objective about what you see. And I feel like I was doing my audience a severe disservice. I'm trying my best to make up for that now. A lot of people feel like that's too little too late, and I totally understand that. But for those that respect my decision for what I'm doing right now, I genuinely appreciate you. So I responded to Tommy, and I said that, are you okay? And it was like, I'm ready to talk to you, or something like that. And I was like, okay. And it's like 1:35 or 1:40 a.m., and I'm like exhausted. I go, okay, can we do this tomorrow? Because I know we're both going to be up all night if we start talking right now. And he's like, yeah, sure thing, or something like that. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I said something about, like, stay well. Because I'm genuinely concerned about Tommy. I mean, he kind of, like, fell off the face of the planet, disappeared as soon as Phil Adam took over as CEO. And I know Tommy has a lot going on in his personal life, which I've respectfully not talked about to respect his wishes for that. So we talked. He called me this morning, and we talked for over an hour. And we talked about a lot of things. He opened the conversation asking me to keep it private and to not make a big deal out of it. He just wanted to talk as friends. And I, without saying it, I basically said, I can't do that, at least at the beginning of the call. I was like, Tommy, you know where I'm at. You know where the situation is with the Intellivision Amico and me. And just the fact that you're reaching out right now to talk to me from your perspective is not a great idea, because I'm going to report to my audience what transpires here, because that's where I'm at right now. And I mean, that's pretty obvious. That's understood. At least it should be understood. So he asked that, and I basically said, no, I'm not going to keep this private. I'm going to let people know that it transpired and what we talked about. If there's some super personal stuff or extremely private stuff, that I definitely respect his wishes for that. But as far as the broad overall phone call that it took place and what we talked about in general, I would want to share that with my audience. He's been going through a lot, and it's hard to take the perspective that I have without at least understanding the challenges that he's been facing in his personal life. But that is, to me, separate from the Intellivision Amico. This console that they set out on this mission to create. We talked about a lot of things, ranging from our friendship, with extreme quotes, to the status of the project, and everything in between. The drama in the community, where he's at mentally, what's going on with the company, how they're receiving my videos, everything. And much of it was surface level. We didn't go too deep into a lot of it, but he was letting me know where he was at with this. And his biggest concerns were, one, not to share his personal information, concerns, and stuff that's really causing him a lot of stress right now. And I said, yeah, of course. I've always respected that wish. I feel like personal life is personal. We don't need to go there. Like, this is not about you, Tommy. It's about Intellivision. And if it's about you, it's only about what your involvement with Intellivision is. And I want to limit it to that. The other thing was talking about the privacy of some of the information that he's shared with me. And he took specific issue with the Earthworm Jim video that I made, basically saying everything Tommy told me about Earthworm Jim. And I was like, okay, I can respect where you're coming from, but have you watched the video? And he goes, no, I've kind of disconnected from social media, privated my Twitter, and just removed myself from the spotlight of any of this stuff. And he's like, I haven't even been keeping up with any of the videos. He's like, I hear things from people in Intellivision, calling me, telling me what's going on, and that's as much as he knows about it. For what it's worth, if you want to take his word or not, I don't know. I don't know. It just, me personally hearing that, it just strikes me as impressive that someone who's so fully ingrained with social media and fighting the front line battle of every issue and concern, to completely just disconnecting the next day because life challenges. Not saying it's not possible, but it just doesn't seem on brand for Tommy. But okay, take his word for it. He hasn't seen the videos that I've made. He took issue with me making multiple videos about Intellivision Amico and the angle that I had and how it was not helpful to the brand of Intellivision at large. To which I replied, okay, but could you give me something that I could take a positive angle, and I'd be happy to run with that if you can give me some realistic, viable proof that there's something of tangible value happening right now that I can use for a video to basically say you guys are, everything's fine and it's gonna work out and this is what you're doing. He's like, oh, I'm just removed from the CEO. I don't, and he totally just put it all off on someone else. He's like, I don't know that stuff. Which is very convenient because I'm sure Tommy knows what's going on. And the problem is he couldn't give me anything tangible that I could run with positive information. Yet he's confused as to why I have a negative tone right now, where I feel like it's pretty straightforward as to why that is. But regardless of that, a lot of the call centered around friendship and the deep psychological things that go into a friendship. What is a friendship? What do you consider a friend? What do you consider someone that you can trust? You know, all this stuff. And I'm just like, I feel like Tommy on an island would be awesome. But Tommy with Intellivision, there's a conflict of interest there for me as a YouTuber trying to cover this story, this situation. And I told him straight up, I'm like, I don't think I can be friends with you. As much as that hurts to say, the past few weeks have made me realize that it's a friendship of convenience. It kind of feels like it always has been. And ironically, the Intellivision was what brought us together, and it was the same thing that tore us apart. And I'd like to think, in a different reality, if I met Tommy outside of the Intellivision, that we'd be perfectly cool and fine with each other. But with the Intellivision situation the way it is, it's just not viable to try to carry on a friendship. We talked about the lies and deceit from the company's standpoint, and then from Tommy's standpoint, and how I should feel about that, because Tommy claims he's never lied to me and put me on the spot for asking me, when have I ever lied to you? I've always been upfront, truthful, and honest with you. I'm even reaching out to you right now. And he's like, I don't understand why you have all these thumbnails that say lies, liars, all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, you kind of put me on the spot. I wasn't really prepared for that question directly, but let me think for a second. And I was like, okay, you said no crowdfunding, and you just started crowdfunding, and that flew right in the face of what you promised me. And he's like, well, yeah, but things change and unpredictable situations happen, and we couldn't have predicted the pandemic, and you know, this, that, the other thing. And I'm like, Tommy, that's excuses to make for not being completely truthful for the situation. And I would say that when you told me that you would not be crowdfunding this project, you said, not now, not ever. So when you say that kind of thing, that implies not now, not ever. And when it does happen, it turns that statement into a lie. So there's a lot of splitting hairs, a lot of conflicting minutia with verbiage on what a lie is, what these words mean, what he meant when he said certain things. And it boiled down to a point where I'm like, okay, so the facts on the table are the detractors of the Intellivision Amico, from their standpoint, have been right the whole time. And until this console comes out, or something happens with it where people can go to the store and buy it, they'll always be right. And I always stand by that. I want Intellivision to prove the detractors wrong. Nothing would make me happier. I'm not trying to be a dick. I keep saying that. I'm like, literally nothing would make me happier than to see these hardworking people at Intellivision produce something and get it out there and prove all the doubters and haters and detractors and anyone else that disagreed with their standpoint along the way wrong. And they haven't. And I said that to him. I go, I don't know what you want me to say to you, because you're putting me in such an impossible situation here. You don't want me to make videos ruining or tarnishing or making the brand look bad. You're saying I don't have to remain silent, I can do what I want, but you want me to be honest, as long as that truth matches the reality that you're living in. And I kind of feel like I go back to the whole point of YouTube in the first place, and that is, it's a place for individuals to share their ideas and perspectives on a situation with the expertise that they have and the knowledge that they've learned. And if I'm not doing that, then what the hell am I doing on this platform? I'm not making anything out of this. For a while, I would have loved that investment, $10,000 I invested in this, to turn into something. But then when I came to the realization that I don't think that's going to happen, it's not likely, and I don't want to see other people get hurt from this situation, I started changing my tone. And that was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. And easily, I'd say, the hardest thing I've ever done on YouTube. Because I was so all in on this project. I was so excited about it. But it's just one thing after another. Bad business decisions, poor market conditions, pandemics, excuses, everything you could name under the sun. But the fact of the matter is, while other companies, there have been delays, but other companies have created software and hardware and published it and produced it and created it, developed it, and put it in store shelves. In the same period of time, we're talking 4 years almost from the reveal of the Intellivision Amico. And what do we have to show for it besides a bunch of cardboard games that are useless if a console never comes out? And that's just being real. So we ended the call on the note of and this was me taking the lead, we shouldn't talk anymore because I don't want you to influence me. And he respected that. All he asked was that I keep his personal life out of this and that I don't talk about stuff that he told me in confidence over the past couple of years when we were hanging out. And I said, I can definitely respect the first one. And the second one is a very delicate line that I have to walk. Because there's certainly some stuff that he told me that I will hold true to my word on, where I will not tell people about it until Intellivision reveals it. But then there's other things that he told me in confidence that I feel like need to go out there so people can understand my rationale of why I was thinking the things I was. Because without the knowledge of that, I think I'd come across as a crazy person to some people. They'd be like, why were you thinking this? Why did you invest that? Why did you believe this? Like, without the painting the full picture of what I learned, then I look like an asshole. I look like the crazy person. And it, in a weird way, tarnishes me and makes me look like the bad person in all of this. And I'm like, well, I don't want to make Tommy look like the bad guy either. I don't want to make Intellivision look like the bad guy. I just want to deliver the information and the story and have a conversation about what's going on here. And I think that's the fairest approach to take with all of it. I don't think Tommy got what he wanted. I mean, I know Tommy didn't get what he wanted with the phone call. He wanted me to just listen to him, agree with him, change my mind, and just go back to the way it was. And I told him straight up, that's not happening. It can't. It can't. One valuable lesson I learned from this entire ordeal is that in the future, I cannot get close to a project like this if I'm going to try to cover it without a bias. Even though I fully disclosed my bias when I invested in it and stuff like that, I think it's still easy to only look at the bright side of stuff and not be fully critical when you need to be to notice the obvious hurdles that will be blockades if not faced properly along the way. So I've learned that from the situation, and I basically told Tommy that maybe maybe after this whole Intellivision thing is put to rest, if it comes out or not or whatever happens, someday in the far, far future we can be back in communication again. But as of right now, it's just not happening. It doesn't make any sense to. I did say at the end of the call, I was like, look, give me, like I said earlier, give me something to tell people, something positive so I can spin this in a good way. I genuinely want to do that. I still have $10,000 invested in this project, so trust me, I want to give good news about it. I was like, what's going on with Night Stalker? I played that back when I first met you and haven't seen the game since, haven't seen you guys promote it, haven't seen anything. What happened with that? And he's like, and he started to say something, and he goes, actually, no, I can't tell you because I can't trust you anymore. And I go, good answer. You shouldn't tell me, because whatever you tell me, I'm going to tell people, and you shouldn't trust me with that right now, because I feel like this information is what people need to know. And if you can't tell me anything about it, then that's kind of a red flag. And he's like, well, I can't tell you because you'll spin it into a negative, or you'll make us, or someone will spin it into a negative and make us look bad. I'm like, all right, Tommy, but by you saying I can't tell you, that literally is an answer, and that's a negative. So you can choose to answer it as, oh, I can't tell you that because I don't trust you. But if you trusted me and you had some progress on the game and you had some information about it, what would hold you back from just being truthful and say, yeah, it's good to go, it's ready, and that's not a concern anymore? Or the reason why it was held up was XYZ, but that's been resolved. But you didn't. You just said, I can't trust you. And I said, what about Earthworm Jim 4? And he said the same thing, I can't trust you. And I was like, okay. So you're not denying that my claims in the video that you didn't watch are right. Like, you're admitting that there are a ton of issues at Intellivision. That's not to discount that Intellivision employees are working their asses off. I'm sure they are. I'm quite confident. The multiple times that I've been to the offices, I've seen it firsthand. And I'm not discounting the efforts. All I'm saying is there's been a lot of effort with no result. And a lot of promises with no result. A lot of things said, and then the opposite thing happens. We talked about how he was so concerned about the lies and the misinformation. I was like, well, one of the most obvious lies that just transpired. Phil Adam was a straight up liar to people. He said he was going to give information on manufacturing date in 2 weeks. And that was supposed to be the end of February, the beginning of March 1st. And that time passed, and he didn't do that. He came out with an email saying, basically kicking the can down the road, saying that the company's pursuing other opportunities and is entering a quiet period where they might talk to other companies about mergers or whatever they're trying to do. But the fact of the matter is, Phil Adams said something and then didn't follow through on it. He completely changed the narrative and direction. Flat out lie. In broad daylight. So Tommy had all these, when do we lie? When do we lie? When did I lie to you? And it's all the minutia. I'm like, there's so many mistruths. That would be a more accurate word than lie. And he kept getting caught up on that. And he's like, he can't trust me. I'm like, Tommy, no one can trust you. No one can trust Intellivision. Why would anyone believe anything you guys say at this point based off of the previous 4 years' history of empty promises forever and no change? And this isn't to, like I said, it's not to be a dick. It's to basically call a spade a spade. And if you're going to be different about it and say, here's the manufacturing dates, here's who we're working with, we just signed this deal and these are going out this date, bing, bang, boom. Let's do it. That's exciting. Let's make an exciting video about that. I can't lie and pretend that that's happening and rainbows and butterflies are happening. It's not. And until it does, I'm going to keep the perspective of keeping my distance and being objective with what I see come out. So that was our call. And I don't expect to talk to anyone in Intellivision moving forward unless there's like an extenuating circumstance or situation where they need to reach out to me or vice versa. But I don't foresee that happening. Just want to keep you guys up to date on where I'm at, what's transpired, and I'll give you a clear picture of where I'm thinking and why I'm thinking what I'm thinking, if that all makes sense. I'm going to leave it there. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing. Smash.